Good morning, everybody. This is Lara from Pure Elliott Wave with your Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, and Solana. I'm trying a new microphone this morning, so could you please tell me what do you think of the sound quality? Is it good enough in this video? And hopefully it means that you won't be able to hear these clicks as I click around the place. So that's another thing I'm looking for. Bitcoin still remains within this big consolidation. It's a classic rectangle pattern with a zone of resistance from 71,500 to 73,100 and support in a wider zone 60,700 to 58,200. It's been swinging from resistance to support and back again with choppy overlapping movement, currently hitting resistance at 71,500 when stochastics reached overbought, and so now we expect overall a downward swing to support about 60,700 or possibly about 58,200. The higher probability I expect 60,700, lower probability 58,200. The volume profile for the short term is bullish since the last low. It is upward sessions which have stronger volume. Yesterday I said there was a very weak bearish signal from on-balance volume that's been negated, and so I've slightly adjusted the support line. Yesterday I had it drawn like this, and on-balance volume broke below support, but a quick return back above means we have to be a little bit flexible and readjust that support line. So on-balance volume is within a more narrow now range of resistance and support, but these lines are diverging, so as time goes on, the possibility of a breakout will get less and less, and we may not get a signal from this, but I'll keep an eye on it. ADX is declining, indicating there is no clear trend, so when there's no trend, according to ADX, I revert to the model of stochastics plus support and resistance. And at this time, that model tells us to expect stochastics to continue lower toward oversold and price to continue lower towards support at 60,700 or 58,000 or so. And if they reach those areas simultaneously, that may be the end of a downward swing, and then we may then expect an upward swing. Technical analysis for Ethereum. Ethereum is looking much more positive than Bitcoin with this very strong upward session of the 20th of May. Hitting resistance about 3,680, broke through, testing support yesterday, maybe another successful back test of support. We may now expect to see price move up and away toward next resistance at 4,100. Ethereum's volume profile is very obviously strongly bullish. This is indicative of upward movement being a bull run and not a bear market rally. ADX tells us there is an upward trend, and there's quite a long way to go before this trend reaches very extreme. ADX can reach very close to 100. It can remain above 90 for a little while this market has a strong bullish run. RSI is neutral. I use RSI and money flow to identify divergence. And the reason why I add in money flow, and this is the most recent indicator I've added, is sometimes RSI isn't sensitive enough to indicate divergence. Money flow is very similar to RSI, and I am using them in the same way, but money flow has a volume component to its calculation, which makes it a little bit more sensitive, and it can sometimes exhibit divergence when RSI may not, giving you an advance warning of a potential trend change and weakness at the end of the prior trend. That's how and why I'm using money flow to answer that excellent question asked in comments yesterday. As volume and price move higher, ATR is also increasing for Ethereum. This is a measure of volatility, and this is an indication that this is most likely a bullish run and not a bear market rally. Bear market rallies tend to be moving in straight lines with often weaker volume and flat or declining range. They do not tend to have strong support from volume and are not accompanied by increases in volatility. That's the hallmark of a bullish run, and so that's why I expect Ethereum is underway in at the moment. The main Elliott Wave count for XRP still expects just a little bit more downward movement for C to move below the end of A at 0.4788, or at least reach the same level to complete a little zigzag for a little second wave. A triangle for B may now be complete, and a little C wave down would complete the zigzag. When that's complete, I'll expect a third wave up for XRP. Daily technicals for XRP, it's still in this big ascending triangle pattern, priced currently for the current session, finding support just at the lower edge of that ascending triangle. Ascending triangles will most commonly break out upward, and so that's what I'll expect. But XRP has had a hard time breaking above resistance in the 54 to 55 cent range. There was a false breakout and then it returned back down. So because of this previous false breakout and these overshoots here and here, I'm going to use a 3-day away rule. I want to see a break above 55 cents and then 3 days up and away before I have confidence that that resistance area has confidently been broken. The volume profile for XRP is mixed. Neither up nor down sessions have very clearly strongest volume. Up sessions slightly stronger than downward, but they're not actually that different. XRP has a decent range with on-balance volume. These lines are converging, so we will get a signal sooner rather than later. ADX is at a very low level. It's set itself up for a very strong signal. When it reaches 15 with a positive slope, it will then be telling us XRP is in a new trend, and whichever DX line is on top of the other will tell us what direction. The DX lines have been whipsawing and could absolutely whipsaw again. RSI reached oversold on the 13th of April, strongly suggesting that that low may remain intact, and that supports the Elliott Wave count. Stochastics is moving lower. Prices at support. The last downward swing, stochastics did not properly reach oversold, so it may not manage to do so again. This model of stochastics plus support and resistance, slightly modified for current conditions for XRP, would expect a little bit more downward movement, potentially to move a little bit below that ascending triangle support line, which may then need to be adjusted. So maybe support down at 0.49 before the downward swing ends. Main Elliott Wave count for Solana. Someone asked me, am I okay with the truncation? The end of minor wave 5, you can see here on this data, this is Yahoo Finance data, is 119.38481. The end of minor wave 3 is 119.83334. 5 has moved very slightly beyond the end of 3. There is no truncation. If there was a truncation, I would label A, B, C, a zigzag complete down here for primary wave 4, and I'd continue and consider it continuing sideways as a combination, and then I'd have A, B, C to move a little bit higher for an X wave, and then a flat correction for Y. So I'd label it zigzag for W, X incomplete, and Y to continue sideways for a combination for primary 4, for it to take up time and move price sideways so that it would then have better proportion to primary wave 2. But there is not a zigzag complete down here, and so I'm not going to label that wave W of a continuing combination. What I do think is unfolding for primary 4 is a zigzag. 5-wave impulse for intermediate A, 3-wave zigzag for intermediate wave B may now be complete, and a 5-wave structure down for intermediate wave C expected. This channel that contains intermediate wave B may be breached by a full red daily candlestick if the current session of Friday 31st of May can close red. I want to see a decent real body on this candlestick though, not just a little red doji. A downward session, obviously downward session below and outside and not touching this trend line would give me some confidence that this upward move is over and the next move in the opposite direction is then underway. While that hasn't happened, this alternate wave count will remain a viable contender. It considers the possibility that primary wave 4 may have been complete down here as a combination, but as I keep saying, this downward movement has a strong counter-trend slope. Combinations should be sideways movements, like the big rectangle on Bitcoin. That looks like a combination potentially, but this downward movement doesn't. It looks like an impulse. That's what it looks like. So this wave count is forced. But what if the correction is complete there? Will it fit as a complete Elliott Wave structure? The answer is yes, even though according to Elliott Wave guidelines, it has a really low probability. If primary 4 is complete there, then primary 5 to complete cycle wave 3 should have begun. Primary 5 may only subdivide as a 5-wave motive structure. That's either an impulse or an ending diagonal. Of those two possibilities, an impulse is much more common, and so the probability is much higher. Within an impulse, intermediate wave 1 must subdivide as a 5-wave motive structure. It may be unfolding as an impulse with minor wave 1, 2, 3 and now 4 complete. If 4 continues any lower, it may not move into wave 1 price territory below 158.37582. If this wave count is invalidated by any amount at any time frame with a new low but below this point, even a fraction of a cent on a tick chart, because the rule is absolute, I will invalidate this alternate wave count, and that would give more confidence to the main wave count. So even if this is the wrong wave count, it's still useful as an alternate to add confidence when it's invalidated to the main wave count. And that's a really good reason to always consider alternate wave counts, particularly if your main wave count is very strongly expecting one clear direction. If you can develop an alternate that considers an opposite direction when that alternate is invalidated, you have further confidence in the direction expected from your main wave count. I hope that makes sense. And this is the right way to do Elliott Wave. Very quickly, technicals for Solana still finding resistance at 190, support holding at 159. Price is just moving sideways. Found resistance at 159, little pullback, a breakthrough, back test of support, still a little bit of support being tested, and when that's done, I'll expect price to move up and away after resistance at 168. If it can break through 190, then I'll expect resistance at 210 and 215 above. So don't expect price to move in a straight line, and these identified areas of resistance above for this upward trend are areas where we may expect to see pullbacks or consolidations. For the short term, the volume profile for Solana is bullish up off the last low. Volume was pushing price higher, and now price is moving sideways and a little bit lower, and volume is declining. ADX is still declining. The DX lines may continue to whipsaw. There is no clear trend indicated at this time frame for Solana. With no clear trend, reverting to that model of stochastics plus support and resistance would expect a downward swing to continue lower toward support below, and stochastics continue toward oversold, and that model would tend to support the main Elliott Wave count. That's it for me this week with your updates. Next week, I'll be on the road from the north of France all the way down to the south of France. We will be staying for about a month. Because we'll be spending 4 days to get there, I may not be able to give you updates every day next week. I'll do my best, but what I might do is wait to see the market have a decent move, and on that day, I'll try and force the time in to give you an update. So thank you very much for your patience next week.